The St. Louis Blues gave multiple massive updates surrounding the lineup as head coach Jim Montgomery reveals key players returning to the lineup, which has huge implications on this team moving forward. But not only that, we're going to break down these perfect updates surrounding prospects in the World Juniors that has fans fired up. We're going to break down all this and so much more, and you're not going to want to miss it. So Darius, let's go straight into the prospects before the updates. And last night we seen two players. Adam Jiricek went into the game versus Canada, not putting up a point, a -2, but it's nice to see that he's getting a long leash during the World Juniors, his third World Juniors, and seeing him represent his country is awesome. But there's one player in particular that stood out last night, and that was Harenstam, coming through with 23 of 25 saves in a big win, a 3-2 win versus Slovakia. What is your thoughts on Darius that we've seen the young Blues goaltender drafted in a very late round, looking like a steal, being this good of a starting goaltender for Sweden already?
Well, a lot of these teams are getting a lot better, and a lot of these programs are a lot better. Gone are the days of just USA and Canada dominating this tournament, and maybe Sweden, right? Sweden looked pretty good. Big win, big tight win for the goaltender as well. So that's a confidence booster. We'll see what he does the rest of the way, and we'll see if Sweden then uses their backup a little bit more as well, because they're one of those countries that likes to go like a 1-1-1 format. So we'll see what happens with that, but a great first showing. But you glossed over Jiricek a little bit, and I want to go back to him because everyone knows him for his offensive output, Mark, and I think that's why you brought it up and you're like, hey, he didn't put up any points, move on to the next game, stuff like that. But I watched the whole game, and this guy, there's more to him than people realize. He was eating pucks all night. He was blocking shots. He looked amazing. He was skating well. He was transporting pucks through the neutral zone. He looked fantastic. And again, it's a -2, and I would say that there were some defensive collapses for both teams in that game. It was a really weird one. I thought it was going to be a tighter game, but I have to say he looked fantastic, not putting up the offensive numbers that we're used to for him and what he's doing at the OHL level, but breaking up plays. Great stick work. He was blocking shots all night. Every time there was a block shot, which was almost every time down the ice for Team Canada, it was Jiricek getting his body in the way. So he was awesome to start the tournament. We'll see what Czechia does the rest of the way, because now they're down 0-1 and they're not in the toughest group, but that was a game they would have liked to have. So very interesting stuff there. We'll see what he does the rest of the way, but I'm looking for him, and you make a good point, looking for him for more offensive output the rest of the way in this tournament, because that is his game. But outside of that, he brought a lot to the table in the last game, and Blues fans should be very excited.
And that was one of the biggest electric games of the night. Listen, I lost power, so I couldn't even watch it. But the big thing is a lot of these prospects are playing really well. What's your thoughts on two of their performances in the first game of the World Juniors? Who do you think comes out on top as the top prospect coming out of this tournament? Let us know down below. But let's dive straight into this update on the roster that everyone should be fired up for. And we have two. But going into the first one, morning skate, Jimmy Snuggerud is participating. Now, he's about 2 weeks ahead of schedule. Seeing him come in to join this team is a big boost here. As we've seen last year coming in from the NCAA, he looked outstanding. 4 points in 7 games, not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs, and now 11 points in 26 games, which a lot of people might say, hey, listen, it looks like he's downgrading his offensive talent. But this is a guy that's not only went through injuries, but has been played on a Blues team that struggled to score sometimes. So what is your thoughts on Jimmy Snuggerud coming back before we touch on the second guy returning as well?
Yeah, and they're not only just on the ice skating around, taking part in morning skate, they are actively taking part in line rushes and in the lineup. So that is well ahead of schedule for Jimmy Snuggerud, I think. Obviously, Jordan Kyrou, that we knew he was going to return shortly. We'll get to him in a second, too. But Jordan Kyrou has joined the group as well. We know Nick Bukestad's close to returning. He was actually supposed to return the fastest out of all of them, but that just goes to show, like, you know, the hunger some of these players have to get back in the lineup. But you can see here, they're still missing a ton of players. Some players are getting filtered out of the lineup. The one thing I thought was interesting is Stenberg kept his spot in the lineup. He was moved down to the fourth line, but he's still in the lineup when they were running these, the morning skate line rushes. So pretty interesting stuff there. And like you said, with Snuggerud, to get back to that, he's a great offensive weapon. He has a great shot. He's going to be just fine. He's adding different elements to his game. You have to figure out how to play in the league sometimes as a young player, and he's doing exactly that. So he's just trying to figure out the league a little bit. He's going to be just fine. We know the offensive output will always be there. He's got one of the best shots. I suspect soon we'll be saying he has one of the best shots in the league, soon. So He'll be just fine offensively, I think, but he's just trying to figure out, how to be a good pro, how to be a good player in the league and, progress that way. And we know Jim Montgomery's a big fan of his as well because he was spending a lot of time on the first line as well. So we'll see how it progresses, but good to see these guys back on the ice and they were taking line rushes, not just the situation because we see around the league, these guys join practice again. They're just kind of shooting pucks, stuff like that. Maybe, taking part in some drills, nothing crazy, but they were taking part actively in these line rushes.
And I think that's the big thing. Listen, getting Snuggerud back is huge, and getting Jordan Kyrou, one of the top point producers on this team. We've seen it season after season. Yes, he has some lapses when it comes to his physicality or defensive game at times, but Jordan Kyrou is a huge part of this team. A lot of fans need to realize how good this guy truly is. We can see the point production. He's a 30-goal scorer. He can do everything you want. He needs to be injected back in this lineup if they want to go on this big win streak. And listen, beating a team like Nashville is a must. We see them give up, 12 to 13 goals over 2 games versus Nashville. Getting these guys back into the lineup is big, but Darius, this is the thing. We're seeing a lot of guys return. We know Nick Bukestad's right around the corner. We see Snuggerud and Kyrou coming back. Nathan Walker will return. Dylan Holloway's at some point. Looking at the lines, it's going to get interesting on what they do. We can see the projected going in to their game. The big thing is you're getting Kyrou on that second line with Bergen and Schenn. I think Bergen should stay up on the top line, but listen, Jim Montgomery's an NHL coach. I am not. And we do have Snuggerud sitting there on the second line with Suter and Dvorsky. What is your thoughts on this? My first thing I want to say is Otto Stenberg staying in the lineup. I love to see it. A fourth line role feels a little weird. Listen, he has a great defensive game. He can get the puck, so maybe he adds a scoring element to this line. But what is your thoughts on Otto staying in the lineup? And do you think there's going to be a point where maybe we see him or Dvorsky come out of the lineup?
Yeah, and I don't know if I made it clear a couple of minutes ago. They will be playing tonight, by the way, Kyrou and Snuggerud. They're back in the lineup. They weren't just taking line rushes, but I was just saying it's nice that they were back taking the line rushes and not just like slowly easing themselves back in. No, they're ready to go, which is exciting. But in terms of the lineup, Jim Montgomery, I would say that I agree with you, Mark, right? And obviously we're not NHL coaches, but Bergen's look good on that first line. Why fix something that isn't broken? Although I have to say the way that it currently lines up right now, Neighbors has been great. So he's on the top line. That makes sense to me. Then you have scoring all throughout the lineup now with these guys back in the lineup. So Bergen and Kyrou with Schenn in the middle, that might get Schenn going, right? Then you have some offensive output on the wings there. I like that third line as well. Like that's going to be a good, exciting third line. I'm excited. They could actually put a lot of goals on the board. And it's a fast, speedy, hardworking line there. And then Stenberg on the fourth line to answer your question. The one thing I've noticed about Stenberg is, he shouldn't be in a fourth line role, right? He's not technically that type of player. He can make plays. He's responsible defensively. But one thing I noticed about him watching the games is he's winning a lot of pucks and puck battles. So him on the fourth line, I don't hate it, right? And it's keeping him in the lineup, which I love. I mean, he's worked hard. He deserves it. The guys we were talking about it the other day, when people start coming back from injury, what's going to happen with some of these guys that were, should be in theory sent back to Springfield? Well, we have the answer here. They're playing so well that they're still in the lineup, and I really, really like that. It's just not a numbers game yet. They're still need a couple guys back from injury to make that a reality. So I like it. We'll see what happens. I do imagine Bergen will finish the game on the first line. I think they're going to end up going back to that, but I like it.
And I think the big thing is, too, is looking at the team. We see Fabry come out. Fabry's been great for the team. Yes, once again, he's getting back into form. He was on a PTO in the AHL for a majority of the season to start, so getting him out of the lineup, it's nice to see Fabry maybe get back in at some point. He is on a 2-way contract, so we'll see what happens there. But fans, what is your thoughts? Out of Dvorsky, Stenberg, and we know Fabry, who do you think comes out of the lineup when this team gets fully healthy? Let us know your ideal lines down in the comments. Well, that'll be it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with your friends. We'll be back in another episode. I've been your host, Mark, with my co-host, Darius, and take care, boys.